All right. I think this is everybody. We've got a few tricklers, but I may go ahead and get started if that's okay with you guys. Good. Uh, so I'm going to get this out of the way with first. Normally when people go on mission trips, they come back wearing the cultural attire of the place they went and served at. For Dennis Kuhneman, whenever he went to Uganda, he came back and he had a very nice, colorful shirt. Probably wouldn't wear it most of the time, but it's appropriate in Uganda and when you're sharing about Uganda. Just several weeks ago, whenever Keith Singer came, he had his, honestly, I don't know if it was Mexico or Haitian shirt that he had on. And that was appropriate. And just last week, Dave had his Indian shirt that he had on. And again, probably not something that he would wear every day, but appropriate for Indian attire. We went to Kentucky, and the Dale Earnhardt cutoff seemed slightly inappropriate even for Sunday morning. So this is what you got. Hey, I could do that. We'll take shoes off. Very good. So I'm going to take this time. We've got a lot of time to kill, but I'm going to catch you guys up on Big Creek, kind of how it got started, what we all did there, and you'll hear from some youth that went with us, maybe not all of them, but let's get started. So a lot of people have asked me, why Kentucky? This is the United States. Poverty exists outside of here, right? And I think that's kind of the mindset, but it's not exactly true. The area at Big Creek has always been a pretty poor area, very impoverished. And hold on a second, I've got something going that I need to pause. Always poor, very impoverished. Think of this area like back in the Dust Bowl days before they discovered center pivots. Very similar to Kentucky right now, and most of the people really relied on coal mines. That was the main form of job, and that kind of fueled the local economy. The government, however, in the big push for green energy back in the late 90s and early 2000s, they shut several coal mines down in that area because it was very high in sulfur and not as desirable as the ones out. I think in Wyoming, they have a lot of coal mines out there, I think. But that put almost everybody out of a job, and it had this ripple effect, similar if the government shut farming down here. You would have this ripple effect of not only farmers, but equipment salesmen, seed salesmen, agronomists, you name it. You kind of get the idea, and it kind of devastates the local economy. And while there's a lot of Dollar Generals around, there's not enough Dollar Generals to employ entire counties. And so some local churches, and this is up in eastern Kentucky. It's not where I'm from. I'm from East Tennessee, about 2 hours south. And where I grew up, we kind of heard about it through the grapevine, and some churches would go up there and they would start serving in those areas. And Big Creek started out with construction projects, and that was actually, hold on. Here's kind of a town of Kentucky. Again, if you take away the trees and maybe some of the color, pretty much similar to a small town here. Instead of a grain bin, it's a coal elevator. Again, very, very similar to what we have here. And then, again, a couple of local churches from East Tennessee started going up and serving people in that area. And we started out with just small construction projects. They would fix patches in roofs. They would put ramps up to people's houses. And they would do that for a week straight because people couldn't afford to do that on their own, and they would just live with tarps on their roof to shield out the rain. But they quickly realized they had to pull an audible halfway through the week because they had a lot of, again, barefoot, half-naked kids running around construction projects, and it kind of posed as a hazard. And so not only to minister to the parents, but to also minister to the kids, they started the day camp, or the kind of a backyard VBS branch of ministry there, where the kids got a very chaotic, less thrown together and organized vacation Bible school where they did crafts, a Bible lesson, and some games, just to love and serve on those kids. And my church, the church that I grew up in, not here, but we got involved in 2007. I was in 7th grade myself, and there was another group that was kind of formed, I think, that year. But there was a lot of people just kind of standing around that didn't have any construction experience, or maybe they had too many people in the day camp area. And coincidentally, there was a lot of things that didn't fit under the construction umbrella or the day camp umbrella, but still needed to be done. And so there was born this kind of community group, but it was really just a hodgepodge of everything else. And if you serve at Big Creek, and I know the kids that went with us the last 2 years, these are one of the 3 areas that you serve in Kentucky when you go. There's I'll get to that picture here in a minute. But back in the day, the county let us stay in just an old school building, and that's what this is. And it was still a very functioning school building at the time. Whenever we went in, they didn't have beds or showers. We had to. This is a picture of a young, pudgy Brett. Probably the only time that you'll get to see the bottom half of my face. But there you go. But this was the old library in the school. Again, didn't have mattresses or showers. We slept on air mattresses the first half of the week, and we slept on the floor the second half of the week because we all know how reliable that air mattresses are. And we took showers out in the parking lot in these kind of makeshift tent things, not exactly desirable, but it really took us out of our comfort zones, and it doesn't sound a whole lot of fun. I'm not really doing a great job selling this at the moment, but it really took you out of your comfort zone and really put you in this mind and heart to serve others, if that makes sense. But this was back almost 20 years ago when we first started. Since then, the school has shut down completely. They moved to a slightly bigger, more modernized school just right down the road. For those of you who went with us, we actually passed that school on the way in, if you didn't know that. But so now you have this old, empty school building, similar to like the old Madrid school, and the opportunity was presented to buy this building, and one of the guys from the churches back where I grew up, he bought the building and he started making renovations to make the stay slightly more comfortable for groups coming up. We still eat on like the little kids' tables from school cafeterias, but I don't want to just speak for myself. You can ask the people that went. The food's actually really good. Just think about it like Crackle Barrel food, maybe even a step higher. Sweet tea. I know that's not on a lot of y'all's diets, but you can be wrong. That's okay. They took the bleachers out of the gymnasium, and they've got chairs very similar to these little burgundy chairs that we have here that we sit on. That's really comfortable, and they've transformed the gym into a giant kind of worship center like we have here that we're currently sitting in. Worship's a pretty big part of Big Creek. It's not just going and serving, but we worship in the morning at 8 a.m. and then again at night at 8 p.m. They have pretty decent music. Kevin leads. This year we went through 1 John. Lots of very good analogies and stuff for most of the students to understand. And then I don't think I had a picture of this on here, but we're not sleeping on air mattresses anymore. We actually have physical mattresses that are on bunk beds, and they don't deflate halfway through the week, so that's always good. And then they actually installed solid showers, and they're nice showers. They're really good, easy to clean, and very much more modernized and makes your stay a lot more comfortable. Still got the humidity, though. I know not a lot of people here are familiar with that, but it's pretty thick there. I think that some of the students could agree. But enough of this like history about Big Creek. I think you guys got the gist. Let's talk about what we did as a group whenever we went up. We'll start with construction. I think Destry and Josh Moreno were the only people in construction. They worked on this guy's, you can come on up. They worked at this guy's house. And again, simple, small, single-wide trailer home. And his roof was in beyond repair. And instead of taking his roof off, we just had to kind of build another roof on top, because I think if the idea was if you guys dug into this, it would have been more of a mess than it was kind of worth. And so they built, the whole week, they just built a roof on top of this and almost got it done. Before you start, let me go turn the mic on for you. Yeah, sorry about that. I was not thinking ahead.
Hello. Yeah, so that is the house that we worked on. You can't tell, but it looks like one trailer house, but there's really two trailer houses that they kind of haphazardly connected with like Play-Doh or something. I don't know. But that roof was not very sturdy to stand on. But we were able to get it done. We had this really cool contractor. His name was Bob. And he helped us frame the whole thing, and we did have to redo a bunch of pieces, but it was fine. We framed the whole thing, and on the last day we started metaling, and roofs can get very hot. That's me, by the way. Roofs can get very hot here when it's not humid, but there when it's like 80% humidity, it gets really, really hot. But we pulled through. Even though some people had to take some breaks because of heat exhaustion, we were able to get about 3/4 of the roof done. And I'm really happy that we were able to, because they really needed it. I mean, there was some places, like the week before us, a team had tried to go up there and build the roof, and one of their guys had fallen through their roof and put a hole in it. So there was a tarp over the top that we had to take off and then frame over, which was interesting. We couldn't stand on part of the roof. We had to crawl on the 2x4s, which were not very sturdy, and I almost fell a couple times, but that's okay. The serving aspect, I was really cool how like me and literally a bunch of strangers except Josh pulled together, and we were able to build this roof for this family that really needed it. The guy was also in construction, the father of the family, and he was a veteran, so that was really cool. We were able to do that for him. And I could tell that they were really thankful. We took a picture with them, and right there is he actually has a Purple Heart, if you know what that is, which is really cool that we were able to do that for someone like him. And yeah, I mean, I had a great week. It was awesome to serve. It was especially awesome to serve this family and these people. They were really nice and great people, and I'm really thankful I got to go. So if you're thinking about going, you should go. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so that was construction. Again, most of the time you get stuck on one project, and you don't always finish that project. Sometimes, like Destry said, the next week has to come and finish up what you did. And the main emphasis that I think they push is not exactly getting the work done, but building a relationship and sharing Jesus with that homeowner or that just that person in need. So that was construction. Next, we had day camps, and I don't know if we had anyone from day camps that volunteered to speak. I doubt we're going to have any volunteers step up at the last second to come up here. So I'll speak for you guys, and if I get any details wrong or need to add, just call me out, okay? I'll take it. So these ladies, and Ethan and Destry, they worked at a pool, the local pool in our area. Great spot for kids to be. I heard Kirsten Collicott, which is Troy's niece, absolutely crushed it in Bible time. I don't know if Kirsten's here this morning, but did a great job. But I think these guys spent most of the week loving on kids, and sometimes those kids are hard to love because they don't have the parental supervision or love that's normally shown in a well-functioning family. And it takes a couple of days for those kids to warm up to you, and sometimes they really push your patience, but boy, they need love more than anybody. And I have another picture. I think these girls went canoeing one day, which I'm pretty jealous of. We didn't do that back whenever I was there a long time ago. But I think they did maybe some river cleanup too, if I'm remembering that wrong. Ethan's giving me some weird looks. So that may be not the case. Maybe they just went and canoed with the kids. But again, very much driven to love kids. I think that's the biggest group that we have at Big Creek, because that's the biggest need at Big Creek is loving on kids. Community is next, and now that I'm looking around, the people that volunteered I don't think are here. So it looks like I'm talking about community too. So community, again, it's the hodgepodge of, Millie! We do have Millie. She worked with me, I think, every day, but maybe 1 or 2 days this week. I can't speak for Destry or Josh or any of the people at day camps. And again, that's kind of the nature of Big Creek. You just kind of separated, and it gets you out of your bubble. But me and Millie, we did a lot of random things this week, and it was good. So I'll let you talk.
So this day we got a bunch of food and we packed it in boxes for people, and
1,200 boxes.
1,200. It was very stressful, but they organized it. Like, I stood by Mariah in the blue. I stood there and I would just open boxes for people and break down boxes. It was fun, but it was well organized. And then the next day.
Yeah, so here what we did is on Tuesday, they call it Box Day in community, and so they formed this gigantic assembly line with one of those roller tables where you could just slide stuff down. Mm-hmm. And there was probably, I don't know, I would say close to 100 people, but we packed 1,200 boxes in just, several hours, and it was very rewarding, but again, very hot, very tasking. And then we spent the rest of that week giving out those boxes and delivering those to people in need, and actually putting those boxes in people's hands. And I think y'all did some other stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
That's Benny doing some yard work there.
Yeah, she stood like 3 feet away because it kept getting her legs.
Gotcha. Here's, go ahead, sorry.
I wasn't in that group.
You weren't in that group?
You were in that group.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead if you got something else to say. I don't. That's all the pictures I have from community.
Well, the first day, we packed a bunch of food into the trailers, and that was tedious work with the forklift, and it was just hot in those trailers. Mm-hmm. It was so hot with the humidity. And then we packed the boxes, and then they actually went and delivered it.
Yeah.
And that girl with the black hair, me and her were really good friends.
She's sweet.
She is sweet. Right. And I was really thankful that I got to do all this stuff. It was super fun. I was going to do kids, but community stuck out to me. And it was fun serving people.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Thanks, dude. I mean, we did several things that week. Not all of us were in the same group every time. Again, some of us, we delivered those shoe boxes. It was kind of hot. Some places we took trucks and trailers and small school buses where probably shouldn't have taken them just because the roads were so narrow and bridges probably weren't designed to support that kind of weight. But we did, and it was fun, and we made it out alive, and this is a good time. But Kentucky, whenever we go to Big Creek, it's not just about going and serving people and loving on people. The gospel is hugely emphasized. in Kentucky, and not just for the people in the community, but for us as well and the churches that are there with us. Again, we have worship services in the morning and in the evening, and you're in Scripture 6 days out of the 7 days that you're there. And I say that because Saturday you're only there for a couple hours before you leave and head back home. But you're just immersed in Scripture, and in between those two services in those individual days, you go out and you serve people, and a lot of really good on-hand opportunity to just talk with what we learned while we were there, and really apply that Scripture. One day, and again, I can't speak for everyone, but I know in our community group, we had a lot of really good conversation. One day, and I didn't get any pictures of this. I'm really bad at taking pictures, so if you want to go next year and take pictures, that'd be fantastic. I'm sure everyone would greatly appreciate that. But we sat and we went to this place that clothes were donated to. Think of a Goodwill, but not near as classy. Think of like is it just an old, dirty warehouse where people came and dropped clothes off in garbage bags that definitely were not cleaned beforehand. And you're sitting on this old, dirty warehouse floor, and you're sorting these clothes. And a couple of my girls, and this was earlier in the week, but they started noticing how they had this kind of gross feeling on their hands, and some of the clothes smelled like they probably should have been washed, and they can't imagine giving these clothes out to somebody. And we just took that opportunity just to talk about that for a little bit, and how the place was a nonprofit. And the woman running this place definitely didn't do this for the money, if she made anything, really. And so what would compel a person to spend most of their day running this clothing store just to give it out to other people? And they had some other stuff there, too, like cribs and water and some food items. And I can't remember which one it was, but one of the girls spoke up and said, well, she probably knows what it's like to be in need. And I said, yeah, we're going through 1 John, and that morning we just talked about 1 John chapter 4. We love because he first loved us. Whenever we know what it's like to be in need, our heart should be dispositioned to love other people in the same way that we were shown that love. And again, just a lot of really good conversation. And if you guys have read through or gone through a study in 1 John before, John talks kind of in circles about living in love and living in light, being open and transparent. And the idea of worship, not something that we do just before the sermon starts for that 10 or 15 minutes where we just sing the words that are up here on the screen, but worship is how we live our lives and how we respond to certain situations and how we honor and glorify God in our everyday lives. Whenever we're sitting on a dirty warehouse floor and we might put on our best smiles and be friendly, but if our hearts are geared more towards loving and thinking about the people that we're serving instead of just sitting in disgust and filth, if our hearts are on the former, that's worship. If we go to these home visits and we sit with some older people or these younger kids and we feel like it might be a waste of time, and we instead of thinking about all the things that we possibly could be doing, but we instead choose to focus on that person because they need that love and attention more than you do at the moment, that's worship. To make it more personal, whenever our health insurance goes up, or whether our crops get rained out or hailed out, and we choose, rained out would be kind of nice sometimes, if tragedy strikes our lives and we choose to respond with trusting in God's sovereignty and that He knows our best interest instead of working ourselves up with worry and anxiety, that's worship. And again, Big Creek is a prime place for that because you're pulled out of your comfort zones and you go to love people who you have no prior background knowledge of. You don't know all the bad decisions they make. You don't know how they live their lives, and it doesn't matter there. You just go and love them exactly how you should. And it's hard whenever you come back here because, well, it's small town. Everybody knows everybody. And you know that person's lifestyle. You know the bad choices that they've made, even if it was a long time ago and it's not relative to who they are now. And sometimes that kind of clouds our judgment. We were challenged at Big Creek to not only love people at Big Creek, but to love people back here in Imperial the same way. And again, we think of missions as, going outside the United States, going to India or Africa or places like China and Haiti and Mexico. But you don't have to go to those places to be a little Christ or Christian. You could do that here. That's why it says love your neighbor as yourself. Your neighbor doesn't live in another country. They live sometimes right next to you, or they might be sitting in the seat next to you right now, or maybe a couple rows back. People that, sometimes they're hard to love, but those are the people that need love more than most. And again, Big Creek, it's a fantastic place just to go and just to pop your bubble and get out of your comfort zone and love your neighbor as yourself. And in doing so, loving God with all of your heart, because there's no cell reception there, and you don't have hardly any distractions. It's all geared towards loving people, and it's a great environment. It's not just for youth. I would say I would shoot for 7th grade or older because, and we did take Ezra, but it kind of turns into a babysitting thing, if anything. But if you're interested in going, if this sounds like fun to you, if this sounds like something that you want to go and serve, sign up next year. I'll probably start making plans in January or February to go in the summer. Again, from 7th grade to 90, if you want to go, come. Last year we took 12. This year I think we took 14. It'd be cool to take a group of 30 or 40. We do have to fly. We stay there for a week. It's a good time. I think you can ask anybody and they'll tell you. But come, it's a blast. And it's not always work. I try to mix in some miscellaneous shenanigans throughout the week to kind of spice up the trip, make it a little bit of fun. 'Cause it's not always, a lot of times people think of Big Creek as a camp. And it's definitely not a camp. I mean, the guys that I worked with all week and the girls, they incredibly hard workers and super proud of them. And so I felt like I should reward them as much as I could. The Saturday before we went, we had kind of a whole day because the flights didn't really line up this year. And so we ended up going down a day early, and we spent the day at Dollywood, which is just an amusement park where I grew up. Roller coasters and all that 9 yards. It was a good time. Again, terrible with pictures, but one of the kids sent me this picture, and I think they had a pretty good time. So some of the kids got lost in Dollywood. We had to go and kind of wrangle them up and show them where all the rides were, and they had fun. Some of us did nothing but eat the diabetes-inducing food of the South, and they didn't fare quite as well. But then we went back to the hotel and ate more food, and all was good. The following Saturday after we got back, we had several hours to kill, so that insisted of going back to Tennessee, because that's where we flew in, was Knoxville. But we went on a short hike. We went up and saw some very pretty scenic views. Again, very, very pretty views where I'm from. That's probably the thing that I missed most about home. But yeah, it's a very beautiful area. They got to go and experience a lot of that. And some more of my pastimes. We revisited the bridge this year, and we actually got a video this time. It is in slow motion, but we blew past some more comfort zones, and all but one jumped off the bridge as Gavin looks down condescendingly towards the rest of us there. But That's how we ended our trip. The flights on the way back home got a little dicey, but we made it back home all safe and sound, and it was a good time. Lesson learned: we're not doing connecting flights next year. So, that's all I had today for you guys. We're probably going to get out early, but we've got some time to do questions if you guys have any. Yeah, so again, when Jeff asked if we just did this during summer, and so when Big Creek first started up, again, we stayed in an operating school building, and so it was only open during the months of June and July, maybe the last week of May sometimes, but they needed it because school started back up, and since then, again, the school building has shut down, and we could go year-round, or they could go year-around, but most of our volunteer force is students, and students that are on summer break, and whenever the school season kicks in, especially when sports and all that start taking place, the fully equipped school just isn't. That's, I would say, the main area of serving is in the last week of May to probably the first week of August. Kevin does, however, he will open the school for us if we ever wanted to come down and serve. It wouldn't be with a bunch of other churches. Most time it would just be us. So if you wanted to ever do some kind of like team building or church, just sending us a single church group down, we could totally do that as long as our schedules line up any other time in the year, but it's just a lot easier to go during the summer. Good question. Dennis, what you got? Yeah, good question. So we lived out of one mission center, and that is in a town called Bear Branch, Kentucky. If you guys knew or ever grew up watching the Dukes of Hazzard, it's just about 40 minutes outside of there, dirt roads and all. But we serve in probably an hour radius of where that mission center is located. Again, so a lot of times we go to Hazzard, we go to Manchester, we drive an hour west towards London, and I think there's like a year list of people waiting for us, or just waiting for people to come up and serve them whenever they can. But yeah, it's within about an hour's radius, and they have a second location in Wheelwright, Kentucky. I've not been there yet. But I think it's kind of set up similar to serve kind of the same affected areas of Kentucky, but outside of that hour radius, if that makes sense. So there are two locations within an hour radius of each other is the areas that we serve in. Another good question. Yeah. Say that one more time, sorry.
The whole economic conditions for the people there after the coal mines got closed down, has something changed so they've got anything else there that it has gotten any better for them?
Yeah, so what Jan was asking is, 20 years ago, the coal mines shut down, and that was the main form of work. And she's asking if anything has changed over the past 20 years. Not really. Again, whenever everyone is sitting out of a job and they're in their homes, you say, well, why didn't they move? Well, if there's nowhere to work, you're not going to go out of your way to buy a home there and move to a place where you're not going to be able to find work. And if you're not going to buy a home, then you're not going to be able to sell the home in that area you currently have. And so that area has kind of become a dead area in a lot of ways. You're probably talking about 3 generations of people that have lived and grown up on food stamps and welfare because they don't know any different. And not to be that guy that harps on the government, but the government shovels money in that area. Like some of the schools actually are really nice, but they haven't done anything to provide jobs and build equity in the community. They shovel money and more government locally funded places. Last year we went to a fire hall, and the fire hall had all this nice and really fancy equipment because it's more of a government thing to keep people safe, but it was a volunteer fire hall, so they didn't get paid anything. Again, schools are nice, but the teachers still get paid the same. It didn't change anything there. And so as far as infrastructure, I mean, Big Creek is probably one of the more thriving places. On Wednesday night, we go out into the community, and they encourage us to spend money in restaurants there because that's a way to kind of stimulate the local economy as best as we can. And I think the only two places in that area are Hardee's and a Pizza Hut. And there's a couple of other local places, but it's not, I mean, it's very similar to what we have here, and there's thousands of more people that live in that area. But so that answer your question? Good question. Anybody? Yeah, Joey. Yeah, so, it first started out, Joey asked if there's other churches that get involved. Whenever it started, it was just a bunch of small churches in the Southern Baptist Convention. Again, my church, I think, got started 4 years after the first church got involved. But now, churches from all over the United States flood into Big Creek and serve for a week. The summers pretty much fill up by April. As far as local churches go, we do see a lot of active involvement in local churches, and even honestly outside of local churches, people that they don't really go to church, but again they help out at Big Creek because they've been helped before, and so they feel this need to go and help other people serve, and so it kind of has this ripple effect. Not every church gets involved, but you do see a lot of church participation, yeah. Yeah, Seth. Yeah, so Seth is asking about the bridge. The bridge is actually down in Tennessee. It's where I grew up. This is one of the spots that I would go to in high school. At Chilhowie Lake is where it's at, near Townsend, Tennessee. But yeah, that's. So Big Creek is, he asked how big Big Creek was. Big Creek is just the name of, it's actually the name of the creek that flows through the community. And so it's less of a town. The town is actually Bear Branch, and it's honestly, it's more like Lamar or maybe even Dickens. Like it's unincorporated. You see just a couple of houses. Not a lot of people live there. So I don't have population numbers off the top of my head, but there's about 300 people that come and serve at the school whenever it's up and running. But most of the people there, they just drive from their house down to like the local quick stop, and so they don't drive cars. They drive like four-wheelers and side-by-sides because they don't have to register those, and it's cheaper on fuel to run those than cars. They don't have to pay insurance and stuff on them either. But that answer your question? Cool. Yeah, Zoe. Yeah, so the school now is, again, it's just like the Madrid building. Emily's uncle actually bought the Madrid building and has turned it into this grain storage computer. Kind of hard to describe off the top of my head, but it's no longer a school. Similarly, Big Creek, it used to be Big Creek Elementary, but it's no longer an elementary school at all. That old school building has completely been refurbished to be a full-time mission center, with beds, a fully staffed kitchen, worship area. whenever we started, all the people just stayed in classrooms, and they would separate them, guys and gals. We wouldn't all an entire church group wouldn't stay. Guys stay in one room, and the girls stay in another room. And we would always leave notes on the blackboards and in chalk and stuff. And now there's no, you still see some aspects of the school there, again with the lunch tables, but most of the aspects of the school building have been stripped away, and it's pretty full-time mission center. They've got a big construction shop out back with all of storage for equipment and stuff. Gavin, I think, sent that picture in, but I didn't put it in the slideshow. But yeah, Pat. Yeah, the Bible Belt, and I say this because I grew up in the area. You would think that everyone's super receptive to the gospel, but Christianity kind of becomes cultural at times, if that makes sense. It's just something that you do. You go to church, you accept Jesus into your heart in Vacation Bible School whenever you're 6. And then sometimes it's just kind of like a form of identity, and so you just go about your life and do whatever you want to do. Sometimes you'll go to church on Christmas and Easter, and if someone tries to say anything, you get the log out of your own eye, and then that's pretty much the end of it. But the people that do go, they recognize their place in need, and they are very open and welcome for you coming to help. But for the people who aren't as in need, they aren't as open to you telling them how they should live their lives, if that makes sense. Which is actually what the Sermon on the Mount is all about, and the Beatitudes, but I'll save that sermon for another time. Yeah, Jacqueline.
Are the schools in that area good schools, or are they lacking in the teaching of the children?
No, the schools there, they're so Jacqueline asked if the schools there are good schools. Yeah, I would say they're good schools. Again, that's one of the things. It's one of the places that the government shovels money into. So the kids have tons of stuff there, probably more stuff than I had at my own school growing up, more opportunities and such, but they graduate and they don't have anywhere to go to work, if that makes sense. So probably some of their best times are while they're in elementary or high school. And if they have the opportunity, most of them move away, and so the community in Big Creek is mostly people that are stuck in the houses that they're currently at. But yeah, most of the time they're good schools, pretty conservative area, pretty like-minded. Yeah. Yeah, drugs and alcohol. And I think, honestly, that's really just like anywhere else. You've got places here in Imperial that really nice, you'd never suspected, and then you've got pockets in town or maybe outside of town where you know where it exists and you know where it thrives, and it's no different in Kentucky. Maybe more so. And Kevin and them, they've done this for 20 years. They know where all of those areas are, and those are areas that we either avoid, or if there's a group comfortable going there, and they ask way prior to going. It's not to catch you off guard. But again, whenever you're in a place where you only live on welfare and government checks, you look for other areas of income, whether they're legal or not. But again, it's not unique to Big Creek, and it's probably not more prolific there. It's just, I think it's everywhere, sadly. Cool. I think that's it. I'll cut us loose early so we can go eat snacks. Let me pray for us, and we'll dismiss. God, we come before you today. Man, we really love you. Thank you for bringing us all here this morning and just loving us first and giving us these hearts to love you in response. like I said, we were challenged at Big Creek to bring these hearts of worship back to our own communities and to love our neighbors, even those that are sometimes hard to love. The ones that probably the last person on our minds are the ones that we just dread going over there. God, I hope that in sharing some of this, that we inspired some of the some other people to go, and also maybe inspired people to share Jesus with people in their communities here too. God, thank you so much for sending your Son for us, and for just opening our hearts and giving us a heart of worship. And God, continue to rid us of ourselves and make it easier for us to worship you, plow our hard grounds, and continue to weed our hard hearts. God, we love you. In your name we pray. Amen. Hey, thanks for letting me do this. I'll let you go get snacks before the kids get let out and you beat the rush.